Good morning, everybody. It's Sunday. Welcome to the pilot edition of my new series called Bureau County Off the Record. I'm going to do this video on Sundays. It'll be a short video. What I'm going to try to cover is some of the incidents, some of the interesting things that I hear going on around the county for that week. First of all, as I do preface and a lot of the things I say, I'm going to tell you that the stories you are about to see are true. The names have changed to protect the ignorant. Okay, so some of the ground rules for this: I am not going to mention names, and I am not going to mention sometimes I'm not going to mention localities. I'll try to keep that out. But these are things that anybody that's listening to the scanner would have heard. So I'm going to start off by making some prefaces here that things I noticed. Like, for example, this weekend, from yesterday to today, I'm going to say no fewer than 12 ambulance calls to pick old people up. I mean, old people are falling everywhere. They're down. I actually, in a 48-hour period, they picked one guy up 3 times. Now, so that being said, a lot of that's one of the main ones that I hear, and domestics. Domestics are everywhere. People are fighting all the time. Sometimes it's two. So that'll be the first story of today. So the other night at about, midnight or so, a call comes in that there's a domestic going on, and the guy knocked the lady's tooth out, and they're drinking and she's crying and blah blah blah. So we got 3 deputies headed that way, hell bent for election going. So they're going. I think the lad cop was going too. Everybody's flying to get there. So it goes, and they're checking. Finally, the lady comes on and tells them, said, "You guys can slow down a little bit." Said, come to find out, said he knocked her tooth out a year ago, and tonight they're fighting because he won't give her the remote back, and she wants you guys to come and make him give her the remote. So here it is. You got three deputies and a city cop going because somebody wouldn't give them the remote. So we had that one. Also, the other night, I heard that a police officer was pulling a guy over. Had him pulled over, and on a traffic stop, and he had a red SUV he was pulling a trailer with, and this was 3 o'clock in the morning, and he pulled him over, and so he went back and he was checking him all out and everything, and he came back. He was suspended his license, and then he had warrants. He had like 3 warrants in different counties for him. So while the dispatcher's talking to him, the cop, he says, "Well, never mind that," said, "he just took off on me." So then he took off, was on the chasing this truck pulling a trailer, and speeds up to 85 mile an hour. And I watched enough cops to know that this wasn't going to last long. And it lasted, even through one town, a little town, at those speeds, and got about 2 miles off the other side, and he crashed. So, but some of the other things I hear, things have changed so much from my day. To give you an example, as you all know me, you know that I have much experience with this because I'm actually, in my youth, I was a scallywag, or whatever. But in those days, back in my Mendota running days, the newspaper came out once a week, and I used to have a scrapbook of it. That's one of the things I'm proud of either. But I actually made the Mendota Reporter 26 weeks in a row, so I was well familiar with being in the company of our law enforcement. Now, in my day, I don't care what the charge would have been. They'd have took me down to the jail. I would have bonded myself out, and I would have left. They would have said, "Fine." I don't care if they pulled me over. First of all, they put me over 10 miles out in the country. They'd have towed my vehicle instantly, and then I'd have had to deal with all that. Oh, not anymore. And I know the laws are different now, and I know there's the no bond law and stuff. But come on. The other day, well, I'll just go like 3 nights ago. They arrested a guy for DUI, fictitious plates, and something else. I don't know what. It was not far from where I live, actually. 3 o'clock in the morning, and the plates. And I'm going to mention towns here because it doesn't mean nothing. The plates were registered to a vehicle that wasn't nothing like the vehicle, and the plates are registered in Sheffield. So they take the guy in, and of course, he wrecked his truck in a field. So they take the guy in. They call the record. They take him in. They take the guy. They charge him with all this stuff, and then the cop tells the dispatcher, said, "Well, I'm taking the subject. I'm taking him to an address I'm taking him to Walnut to give him a ride home or whatever." And she goes, "Well, I thought his address was in Sheffield." He said, "You don't want to get a change of address from him?" He said, where are you taking him in Walnut?" And he's like, I don't know. He doesn't know, but he's going to show me, and I'll tell you when we get there. Now, and that's not the first one. I hear this all the time. There was one a week or so ago where they took the guy in, and he had a warrant out of another county, and it had a bond. He needed $100, and they left his car. He was outside Princeton. They left his car. They took him to book him. They took him to the ATM to get the money to bail himself out. And then when they were done, they brought him back to his car. And all was good. Ain't no way. I'd have been walking. If I was 10 miles out, if I was nice enough they left my car out there, I would have been walking the 10 miles back out. So, you got that one going. Also this week, heard one where a lady called in, her neighbors, and there's certain places I hear all the time. I start to know these places as well as anybody, and I drive around sometimes to look for them just so I can see where the crackheads hang out and stuff. Me and my friend go crackhead looking a lot because I want to see where some of these higher echelons hang out in these towns. But the lady called and said that her neighbors were being mean to her. They were talking loud just to piss her off, and so she threw a pillow at the wall for him to shut up, and they came out and pounded on her outside wall as a comeback for it. So they want a deputy to come and solve these. And I got a whole new respect for deputies and police officers in general. 9/10 of what they do put up with is not your shootouts and your bank robbers and your burglaries and high speed chases. 9/10 of it's dealing with stupid people and solving complaints between neighbors and who said what said and blah 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 blah. And sometimes it shows, and with these people. But I don't know. But we're gonna cover. I'm gonna run out of time here, but we're gonna cover a lot of this stuff. I'll try to hit the highlights every week of what I've seen, and hopefully it'll make you more aware of what's going on in your county. And like when you have no life like me, and all you do is listen to Scanner all the time, so you get to know everything about everybody. So that's going to do it for this first pilot edition, and I will be coming back every Sunday with one about this length of time, and we'll cover what we can cover for the week. So y'all have a good day. I'm going to head outside and work on my tan a little bit. So we'll catch y'all next week. Bye.